Welcome to LifeBlood. This is George G, and the time is right. Welcome to today's guest, strong and powerful Ugis Balmaks. Ugis, are you ready to do this?
Absolutely. Super excited to be on.
Excited to have you on. Ugis is the founder of Recruiter Mill. He's helping 7 to 8 figure businesses hire A players in 6 weeks or less. Ugis, tell us a little bit about your personal life, some more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So outside of work, I'm 31. I'm from Latvia. I'm now based in Hungary. Outside of work, I'm turning into a big chess fan. Maybe on a little more serious note, my wife and I are expecting our first later this year. So that's really big news. We're really excited about that. At work, as you said, I help mainly online businesses hire A players in 6 weeks or less. So an online business is any business that relies on digital marketing. That's how I define it. And I help them find the very best talent, whether it's in their home country or on the other side of the world. And I used to do it for my own business. I would say it was a very successful business for a kid in his 20s. And I've now sold that business, and I help other business owners hire great people for their teams.
Nice. Appreciate that. Are you ready to have a child, Ugis?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. It's something I think both my wife and I have been looking forward to. It's impossible to say, but it's something we've been kind of wanting to do for a long time. So the time is right.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure that you're going to do great. So awesome. All right. So online businesses hire A players. Tell me a little bit more about what that means. What is an A player?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and there is a definition, and that's kind of formal definition is someone who's in the top, you could say 10%. In how what I try to provide is maybe in the top 3%, top 1% of the people who are ready to do the job that needs to be done in your company, in the salary range that you're looking at, and that's a formal definition. But in reality, all business owners, I think, recognize an A player as soon as they see one. They're the type of people that go the extra mile. They figure out things on their own. They never come with a problem. They come with at least a couple solutions or things that we could be doing to solve it. So that's how I would define it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And yes, I think that we can all recognize an A player when we see one. So why not? Why would I use you and not just go through in Upwork or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think every business owner knows that finding great employees is important. I don't think I need to hammer that home, but it is really tough, and I should know because I've been in recruitment for more than 7 years now. And I've kind of it is something that every business needs, that they know it's important, but they don't necessarily always have the time, have the knowledge. I remember when I was on my first job interview as an interviewer, I was kind of just went into the call and asking questions and mimicking what I've seen other people do, and I had no real clue what I'm looking for. And I mean, since then I've broken it down into 7 steps that's all business owners should follow, and you can check them out on my website. But I'm happy to share kind of the highlights of that, something that could be helpful to business owners today.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do that.
So let's go maybe to my top 3. And the first one, and where I start always with my clients, is the job description. And what we're used to seeing is kind of a traditional ad with lots of bullet points. They're usually quite hard to comprehend. And what I've heard from candidates is that you even agree to the interview just to understand what the job really is about. And that's something you should never have in your company if you're running recruitment. It's a bad sign, right? So what I do with my clients is that we create what I call a candidate centric job ad. So it talks about what's important to them, not about all the things that we want to do. And many of us as business owners, we know about marketing, and that we're not supposed to talk about us. We're supposed to talk about what we can do for the person that we're selling to. And it's exactly the same story when you're recruiting people. As I said, the ad needs to be candidate centric, and a couple things you should include in your job ads. One is why you're hiring. So what's going on in the company, why it's important. As I said, these people who are A players, what's common to them is that they want to solve difficult problems, meaningful problems. And if you can explain why it is that you need their help and their expertise, that's already a leg up for you as a potential employer. The other thing, of course, you want to explain how it will help them, maybe how you as an employer have thought about what's important to them, how you have provided it, and kind of showing that you're doing your part in this relationship. And if you have those two things, you're ahead of at least 95% of the job ads I see out there. The second thing I see, and you mentioned Upwork, and it is a great site. It's a great site for if you're looking for someone part-time, and I recommend you actually start there. If you're going for someone full-time, by far the best results I have seen is from direct outreach. So LinkedIn is absolutely amazing for that. And with direct outreach, all the variables are in your control. You can control the geography. It can be in the US. It can also be in Eastern Europe, which is a region I advocate for heavily. You can look up the exact skills that the person needs to have. If you want them to be more experienced and kind of come in and do really well from day one, or if you want them to be less experienced, probably also command a lower pay, but are happy to train them up. Still, of course, having these kind of A player types that you hire. And then, yeah, if you use this approach, you can reach out to people that you have already pre-selected. Okay, these look like the people I want to be talking to, spending my time with, because it is a lot of time you spend recruiting, rather than waiting for maybe 50 people to apply, then go through their resumes, and maybe a bunch of them have misunderstood what the job even is about, and so forth and so forth. So I've tried everything there is when it comes to recruitment. Direct outreach, by far the best results. So that's probably the second tip I could share today. And the third one, I would recommend it, and people understand this, but I think it's really helpful to have a framework for this, and it's thorough interviews. So how I usually approach this is, first I have a quick call with the person, again, kind of understand that what they're about, verify maybe their experiences, let them ask any questions, also get a feel for the company and what it's like. But past that, I'm looking for specific skills, so that can be done on a test assignment. And usually they're actually paid, but I can't stress this enough. If you can see somebody's work output before you hire them, it's almost guaranteed that it's not going to work out. So if you don't see that, it's really, really risky. You need some sort of step like this in the process. And it's kind of the moment of truth, right? If they can do the work before they actually join your company, it's likely to work out really well. If they can do the job, probably it's just not going to work out, or it's going to take a long time, which is the same as basically not working out. And and then also one interesting thing I do, and that I found really powerful, I would say, is a long final interview. It takes even up to 3 hours, and you go through previous job experiences, ask the questions. If you can meet the person you're hiring in person, that's even better. It kind of communicates a lot. But the idea is kind of, if they're taking a big step and joining you, and you're taking a big step and taking on your team, spending 3 hours actually is not that much if you compare it to all the time that you could potentially waste by taking on the wrong person. So a lot of candidates, when I tell them this, and even my clients, they're shocked, but in the end, they really see the value and the things that they can learn from this sort of conversation, and just being, as I said, really thorough. And it's easy to get overwhelmed in a step like this, but if you have a resource, and I recommend a book called Who by Jeff Smart, and it kind of gives you at least, the basic questions that you can follow and kind of a framework for this sort of interview, then it's much easier because you have something to fall back on.
I think that's great. I think that's very helpful. I can definitely see where it's easy to get overwhelmed, and I can definitely see how it's very easy to sort of convince yourself oh, this person's great. They're going to work out great. And therefore, I'm going to skip many of these steps. I'm sure you see that all the time.
I've done it myself. I've kind of I have the scars, if you will, and it just kind of comes with years doing this. That over time you just learn. Okay, if you have a great feel for the person, that's not all you need. And if you maybe have a bad feel for the person, then sure, it's probably not going to change over time. But this great feeling can go away quite easily.
Yeah, I think it's probably valuable to trust your gut, to trust your intuition, and immensely valuable to have a very organized process that you can follow and make sure you're asking all the right questions. Because when you start cutting those corners or not doing that, that's probably when you really regret things.
Absolutely, yeah. I've seen it too many times myself, unfortunately.
So what are some of the roles, field skills that you really focus on? So when people are saying, okay, yeah, I want to hire somebody, but what are they jobs that you really focus on?
Yeah. So kind of what's easiest for me is the roles that I've just hired a lot. And those are generally in online marketing. So search engine optimization, pay-per-click, anything that has to do with Google ads, Facebook ads, or getting your content on your website and ranking on Google. That's, I would say, my primary area.
And Eastern Europe, what is it about Eastern Europe that you
Yeah,
found to be
so
effective?
I wanted to today. I wanted to make a case for us here in Eastern Europe. So if you have someone in the States, you can probably get like an average performer, or for even half of that salary, you can get some of the finest people we have here, and it's not an average performance. Those are the best people we have. And to get an idea of what this looks like, you can Google a list of European countries by average wage, and you'll get countries like Serbia, where the salaries are $600 to $700. Those are average salaries. Ukraine, $300 to $400, maybe around $1,000 in more developed Eastern European countries, but that's much lower than generally in the States or Western European countries. And yeah, you probably will have to pay 2 or 3 times that to get our top performers, but it's still much cheaper than getting someone from the States. And now it's easier than ever to do that. Everybody speaks great English. They're used to working remotely, so it's not a problem. They're even used to working with American companies. So yeah, that's one big area where I also help my clients.
So top skills for less money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Nice. What is some of the pushback that you get when you're talking to people about hiring somebody that we've just been talking about? So that sounds great, but
so generally people approach me when they've kind of made this decision that yes, this is what I want to do. Some people that don't make this decision, and it's fair enough, but many times they want to work with someone in an office, and they want to be close by throughout their day. And I totally get it, especially for maybe some sort of agency environment where you're always working on client work. You always need to be aligned. I can see how it is more difficult to do it remotely. So that's one case. There are people who, again, especially if those roles work really closely with clients, they want people who understand the culture really well, who are American or Canadian or from that part of the world, and that's also fine. I'm happy to help people with that as well. I'm trying to think, because then I mean, there's definitely can be pushback from people who are currently employees in the States, and they say, okay, well, we have to compete with these guys from Eastern Europe with half of our salary, but from the employer side, that's generally something they're quite happy to do.
makes sense. Like it. Well, just the people are ready for that difference making tip. What do you have for them?
Yeah, I think if you're working in recruitment, I think the biggest switch you can have, a mental switch you can have, is to start treating it like a sales process. So I used to sell iPhone photography courses for a living, and nobody wakes up thinking that today is the day that I'll buy an iPhone photography course. We really had to advertise this. We really had to convince people that it is something that they'll want to do. And similarly, nobody wakes up thinking that today is the day that they'll apply to work at your. So to get the best people, you need to put yourself out there, and to be successful at it, you need to do it in a kind of thoughtful way. And yeah, the biggest change I've seen is that if you start treating it as like a sales process, that you really need to convince the person, make sure it is a really good idea for them, that you really are offering something to them when they join your company. That's when you see that, okay, I can actually start building my team. It gets much stronger. So that's what comes to mind when you ask me this.
Well, I think that is great stuff. That definitely gets come on. Makes a ton of sense. And certainly people are probably more familiar with the sales process than they are with the recruitment process. And in so many ways, they are the same thing. So I think that that's an excellent tip right there. We just thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you?
Yeah, the easiest is just to go to recruitermill.com, and there you can read about those other steps that I suggest you follow if you want to do recruitment properly, or you can just reach out to me and we'll chat about if and how I'm able to help you.
Excellent. If you enjoyed this as much as I did, show just your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to recruitermill.com and check out the additional steps that Ugis was talking about. And if there's an opportunity to work together, by all means, reach out and see how you can start hiring A players. Thanks again, Ugis.
Thanks so much. This was fun.
And until next time, keep fighting the good fight. We are all in this together.